Welcome to the garden. Happy Monday. Wanted to do a little run through of our spring garden in the Pacific Northwest. It's the end of March 27th, actually, 2017. And some things are happening in our garden. We have our Concord grapevine sprouting little bulbs. She's waking up. She'll be very productive coming over the arch this year. She got down pretty far last year, so it's going to be interesting to see if she can cover it in this third year on this arch that a neighbor and I built. But she has a very productive grapevine, and we can't wait till August. We started some new compost this year. She hasn't gotten any attention, or it hasn't gotten any attention, though I got to get in there. So here we are. This is my third year mini perennial backyard food forest garden. We at one point in time had over 70 different varieties of perennial food and medicine bearing plants and things for pollinators. Actually, usually they all kind of have all the same uses. Maybe not everybody's food, but food for somebody. This is the third year. This will probably be actually the last year that I'm with this garden. Hopefully I get to leave her here. If not, I'll be digging up as many of these plants as I can and putting them into better homes. But she has taught me so much. One of the deepest lessons I've learned from this garden is patience and acceptance of cycles. And so we're in the beginning of the rebirth cycle. It's a new year really here in the garden and in the Pacific Northwest and all around in the Northern Hemisphere. And that's where we're at. We're at the new, fresh, bright light beginning of new life. And things are pretty active. The comfreys come up. As we see, we have comfrey in a few different parts of the garden. And it does look like we already have some folks enjoying the snacks of the comfrey, but it's coming up. This rosemary bush was planted just last year, actually, here at the front of the garden, and she made it through a really rough winter here. We had a lot of snow, a lot of really cold, dark days, and she did great. The sage as well. I harvested her heavily last year, but she's got new baby leaves coming out, that bright green. Lemon balm. There are some herbs here in the front. I have mullein. The garden, like I said, had at one point in time 70 different varieties, but some do come and show up on their own. We have a fern down here that's growing almost underneath the deck, but obviously a part of our garden. And the second year mullein plant, she's getting ready to flower this year, which I'm super excited to have that as a backdrop to the summer garden. But they self-seeded. They just showed up. I didn't have either one of those seeds out here. And we have some yarrow and sage, some medicine here, in a couple of buckets in the front of the garden. Dandelion. The dandelions took a while to come up. She just showed up there also. But yeah, so at one point in time I had 70, but I'm not really sure because plants self-seed and find their ways here. Bugs and all kinds of beings have found their way into this garden without an actual invitation. I guess it's all the diversity is what the invitation is, all of the habitat space. There's a lot of resources in this garden for a lot of different creatures and plants. Here, these are really cool. These are green onions that I planted from the grocery store into the garden in the beginning of the garden, so 3 years ago. And these are just from little bitty cuttings after we used the chive. They are perennial and they'll stay here, and they last all winter. And they were $1 for, that pack, and plus we were able to eat the food. So they get really big and beautiful and produce a lot of seed and food. And replant your veggies if you can. We have some other onions over here that my daughter planted. Apple tree, sad about her. My daughter was in the garden in the winter playing in the snow, and she accidentally hit this and knocked it over. It was much higher, like up to here, double this height. So it's a little sad, but it's a part of life. So I already made my peace with the fact that she broke, but she's still putting out some shoots. The big apple tree is as well. This is a honeyberry bush here. Looks like she's got berries setting. I don't know if we can focus in on those. Looks like she has berry setting. That's what those are. Beautiful blue berries. Really yummy. Strawberry plant here. Almost didn't make it through the winter. She has some runners out over there. They almost didn't make it, but they're here. You can see I have bare ground down here. We need to get some new wood chips laid. It's on the to-do list of things in the home, but very important either to have, to have your soil covered. In the dead of the winter, I do put some water out here on the plants, and it's mostly like for the plants themselves, for the diversity of life itself, for the bugs, even just to add some moisture into the area. I do put some water out here, but I don't water deep. I'm not actually watering the plants. They're just kind of being refreshed, if anything, getting a little humidity. This is what keeps the garden from needing to be watered, is having the dirt covered. The sun, when he's out strong, evaporates water. But if you have it covered up with old organic plant matter, you don't have to worry about that as much, especially once the plants really establish themselves as they are in this area. Oregano, a great creeper. She sprouts up into a tall plant, but a great early spring creeper. We have willow. Willow is all throughout the garden. The garden walkway is actually made out of willow. I made this out of willow, cut this down, and a lot of it has died, but a lot of it, these posts here, are actually alive and are putting out willow. Willow is medicine, and it's just an amazing plant. So willow is actually all over. We have sorrel in a few places over here. Here's a chard that has come back on its own, perennializing itself. Some more sorrel. But here are 3 different greens that we have here early spring, that are very edible, healthy greens that, are coming back without me having to replant them. And that's the goal of anything I am to add into the agricultural system or into the knowledge of what we're doing with plants, is less work. Growing food is not really something that we have to worry about doing. The earth does that. She grows the food. We need to learn how to harvest it and use it, support it, encourage it, nourish it, recognize it as one. But it doesn't really take a lot of work. We need to learn how to step back a little bit and and eat the things that are growing with less toiling. So sorrel is one of those great greens, and she's coming back really strong. There's an onion that my daughter planted, half of an onion. She was so happy that sprouted. So we have a lot of love and a mist and different flowers getting ready to come up for the summer or later spring, I guess. Borage is going to be up all over soon as well. I thought I lost this guy here, but it looks like she's going to come back. This Oregon grape, though, Oregon sea grape does not look like she made it. I was hoping to see some type of activity underneath, but oh, you know what? That's green. Maybe she did. Okay, we're still going to be patient. Another currant bush. Actually, we haven't seen any currants yet. Here's a currant bush. We have multiple currant bushes in the garden. They've been here for years. Actually, you can see this pretty one here. They all set differently, but you can see her little berries all over. She will have a ton of berries. It'll be cool. My baby really loves those. Blueberry. I have 2 blueberry bushes, but they're not next to each other, and I told myself to replant them this last year so that we could get better pollination, and I didn't. So we got a couple blueberries last year. We'll probably get a couple this year too. Got that bright pink coming. I don't know what that plant is, if anybody does. She's in a couple spots, also voluntary. We got raspberries popping up all along the back wall. Here is raspberries along the fence, the gate, which I had to create for this big massive dog we had here a while. And now it's more so for the plants. The plants are using it. Dandelions. These are tiger lilies here. They're beautiful garden border. More willow. Here's the other blueberry plant. So you can see it's on both sides of a walkway. And I thought that would be cool, but that doesn't actually work. They need to be next to each other in order to get blueberries. Which you live and you learn, you know. I have elderberry here. She'll probably put out quite a few more berries, although this looks like that's died off. Gooseberry plant here. She's really thriving. More sage that was heavily harvested, but she's coming back pretty well. Here as well. Yeah, this is a Lucifer something. It puts out red trumpet flowers for hummingbirds. Lupin is popping back up. More comfrey over here. Another currant bush, totally different way of putting its berries out. If we see, the other ones are hanging down. These are kind of protruding out. Oh, I guess actually it's going to do maybe the same thing. Leaves are totally different color. I think that's a white currant bush. No, it's not actually. The white one's over here. Anyways, more raspberries. The raspberries are really coming back strong. I'm excited about those. The kids eat them all summer long. Not sure about feverfew. She's coming back down here. She is coming back. I guess maybe the cutback or the winter was too strong for her. But because last couple years she was up way earlier. But that's just all the activity. A lot of this looks dead. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Here's some green tips. The winter maybe was harsh on her. My oregano too, the oldest plant in the garden is this oregano bush here, and it's usually way bigger by this point. It was surprising to me actually that she wasn't really sprouting up a few weeks ago. But same thing, it must be the weather. Oh, look at lavender. Wow, she's actually growing really well. She's really gotten into, can't really go back there right now. Some more dandelions. They were late, but look at how big and healthy they are. We'll eat them all throughout the year. Usually just fresh. They're so healthy for you. I just throw them into smoothies and salads fresh. The baby loves, the kids love to eat the flowers. Depending on how many flowers I get this year, I may put together a tincture, a little salve, but we usually just eat them fresh. They're in such abundance. Dandelions are one of those plants that, during times of famine or restricted access to food in the city, these are one of those plants that grandmas and mothers always know to go to. They have just so many different layers of nutrients and medicines and all of that. So that's one of those plants that are always a go-to. If we got dandelions, we're okay. You can stress if you want, but the plants got us. So my evening primrose made it. Super excited about that. Look at that geometry. Such an amazing plant, very strong and powerful healer. We have another elderberry here. She was put in last year next to this beautiful goji berry who's gotten really big. I got one flower out of her last year. That didn't do anything, didn't create a berry, but so I'm hoping this is her third year here. I'm hoping that we see something better. Clary sage. Look at these hairs, if you can see the hairs on this plant. Quite amazing. A woman's herb. I used the oil with high success for menstrual cramping and general situations around that, or emotional responses, physical responses to my monthly cycle. I use clary sage. So she's growing. She's going to put out some really amazing flowers. Looks like we have raspberry. I don't know if it's the blackberry that's gotten over here, but we got raspberry or blackberries coming up, which is cool. If they're blackberries, I'll cut them back. But the raspberries we use for the food as well as the leaves for tea. I like to save those and keep those for tea. Great for all things ladies support as well, uterine strength during pregnancy and just in general. Quite a few grasses. I may pull these out. Grass is the only plant that I created a pact with in the beginning that they can't live here, and if so, they have to actually stay out there. So we'll get these grasses up. But we have a bunch of sunchokes that are going to come up back here. This is my hugelkultur bed. It has some helichrysum, lemon balm, and sage. But I need to do more back here. I'm thinking about putting another tree actually back here with the olive tree. We missed her. Oh, look at all her berries. Oh, she's going to be loaded this year. Oh, it's so great. Look at that. All over. So she's going to feed us little red garnet berries as well as provide olive leaf extract. So excited about that. Yeah, and we're getting back to the inn back here. The Yarrow came. I wasn't sure she was going to make it. She came back, it seems. My mint is not coming back, so that's interesting. On a few places, it looks like the mint isn't doing well. Back here is one of them. These are currants. If I can focus in on the berries, it's not letting me. Another currant bush. I have another goji berry bush back here. This little guy here, planted at the same time as the first one, but just not in the same best or as good of an environment, obviously. So maybe this will be the year that I actually move this plant, because it's been alive for 3 years, just not doing much. Yeah, we have echinacea back here we're waiting for, and a bunch of other summer plants. Can't wait, really, for raspberries for the garden to be fully back to life. I can wait. I'm excited for it, excited for my plant friends to be returning, and yeah, for another cycle of witnessing this amazing little piece of my life. And I love that I can share it and that people enjoy learning about what I'm doing and being inspired by what I'm doing, because I've just been inspired by other people, and we're really just continuing on the energy of the plants. And the message here in our garden is interdependence, diversity, and nourishment is what it's all about. Whether we recognize it or we talk about it or we live within this or not, this is what nature is based on, is a balance of these three principles. And it's pretty fly. So happy Monday. I send my love and I send my plant love out to everyone. And we'll update again in the summertime. Peace.